your 2-year-old doesn't want to share in that moment.
That's us with our cell phone. You know what I mean? That's us with our tablet, and somebody else is like, share that. What do you mean, share? Give me that.
Hi, I'm Dr. Corinne from the Fisher-Price Play Lab, and this is Instructions Not Included, where I talk with other experts about all things parenting, from baby to big kid, and answer questions from real parents like you. Join us. Hello and welcome everybody to the Fisher-Price podcast. This is Dr. Corinne, and I am so excited to have clinical psychologist, mom of 3, Dr. Jasmine of the Mom Psychologist with us today. Welcome, Dr. Jasmine. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is super exciting to be here. I am, like you said, I'm a clinical psychologist as well as a mom of 3. And in graduate school, I studied children and families, and I actually coached parents on how to play with their kids and taught them how important play was to the overall picture of behavioral issues. And then when I became a mom of 3, things got way
real?
clear. Right, real. There we go. It got real. And so I'm excited to be here. I love to talk about all things play and just helping parents feel more confident in their playing role.
Let's start with just talking about the fun stuff, play. We've got some great questions from parents, and they're wondering something that I think we all can relate to and that we've all heard one too many times. What do I do when my child tells me I'm bored?
Oh, no.
They have all these toys, all these ways to be entertained, and they're still bored.
Yeah, no, that is a super common one. And I think we all can relate to that. And I think one of the things that I try to keep in mind as a mom of 3 and trying to step back is to remember that even though our kid comes to us with what we might interpret as a problem, it's not really our problem to fix.
No.
Right?
No.
And I feel like the more we put responsibility on ourselves as the parent to, I've got to fix this, I've got to keep you entertained all day, right?
Yes.
Then the more they're going to come to us. Because they're like, oh, yeah, mommy's going to help. But also, have you noticed that when they say they're bored and you're like, well, you could go do this, you could go do this, they're like, no.
Yeah.
They don't want the
I
solution.
don't want to do that. Yep.
Right. And so I try to take a step back and I'm like, oh, well, that's okay. It's okay to be bored, and try to help shift their perspective of even that feeling. Right. Because I think it's common when we experience a feeling that's a little bit uncomfortable to want to go to somebody that we feel safe with, aka us as a parent, right? And to express the feeling. And what if we just kept it at that? What if we were just like, okay, you're bored. All right.
Right. Almost flip it back on them.
Yes.
Okay, you're bored. This is the problem that we have. How can we fix this? What would you like to do?
Exactly. And also helping them change their perspective even of that feeling. It's okay to be bored, right?
Yeah.
We all experience that feeling. And spin it to a positive. I'm glad that you're noticing that feeling within yourself, right? Because there you're helping talk about feelings, increase their emotional awareness, and then spin it to, well, it's okay to be bored, and that means you're going to find something fun to do.
Right. What can we do? How can we...
What do you like to do when your kids say that you're... What's your go-to?
I do usually flip it back on them.
Love it.
Yeah. And I say, well, how can we fix this?
What
would make you not bored right now? They come up with the ideas, and I'm like, perfect.
Exactly.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and then they're more excited about it because it was their idea.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Another question we had that came in, somewhat related. How can I encourage my child to play independently?
This is a big one, right? Because I know as parents, we're trying to do all of the things. We're stressed. We're trying to do everything on our to-do list. And sometimes it can feel like play is a burden, right? Like, oh my gosh, I just got done playing with you. You want more and more and more and more. One of the things that really has helped us as a family is building in independent play to our routine.
Okay.
So we have nap routine. But naturally, they grow out of their nap routine. Right. But we keep that same structure, and we call it quiet time, which really, AKA, is independent playtime in their room. They get that built-in time for themselves to reflect, to get creative, to have time for themselves, for space. And it really does cut back on the sibling conflict, too, right? Because now they have time to kind of just be by themselves, get some space, gather the thoughts. I feel like we all need that.
We do. And so what I'm hearing is it's us being proactive about setting up the environment, setting up the routine for them to be successful and to be able to engage in independent play.
Yeah, the environment is so important, and making sure that we're intentional about the toys that we bring into the environment, right? Because we know that kids are more likely going to play by themselves if they really like the toys and they're excited about it, right? And they're in that flow state. And so what I would say, like from a practical standpoint, if a parent is trying to increase the amount of time in which their kids play by themselves, we can start small so that they can gradually work up to more time, but start with a couple minutes, right? Of you reading a book or a magazine on the floor with them while they just play by themselves. And then you gradually maybe step away, step to the other side of the room.
Right.
Oh, I'll be right back. I gotta go grab something, right? Or, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. Wait right here. And then you come back and you're super excited and you're like, wow, it's so great to be with you. What are you working on?
You just said something that is so important and that parents really need to make sure that they're aware of and that they're doing is rewarding that behavior too. So it's so easy for us to focus on negative behaviors, but when your child is doing something well, it's so important to just praise them, and they are looking for that praise from us.
It shores up their confidence, and they're like, okay, I want to do this again. Which play is naturally intrinsically motivated, so they don't need necessarily our praise for them to be excited about it, but it's more of that sense of, I did this alone and by myself and like a big girl, big boy, that they're like, oh, okay, right, I can do this on my own. And that's why, too, I really don't recommend parents sending their kids to their room alone, right, and as a punishment, because we don't want to have them associate their room with punishment. Right? Instead, we want to build an association of, this is my safe haven. This is where I go for rest and play and creativity, right? And then they're more likely going to go in their room and want to play by themselves if they associate it with that.
Speaking of sending kids to their room or sibling battles, we had quite a few questions come in related to that. So one of them that we have is, my kids can't play with their toys together without fighting. And so the question is, how do I handle that, or should I just not let them play together? Which to me sounds quite difficult.
I don't think that's possible, but I know the struggle. I know the struggle as a mom of 3 of trying to help our kids get along and play together in harmony, right? And so one of the things I want to start off by saying is that we're not going to avoid conflict, nor should we really try. Learning how to communicate, learning how to foster healthy relationships, that's one of their biggest tasks, right? And oftentimes for little ones, their sibling is the person that they practice all these things with. And so it's going to look a little messy. It's going to get a little crazy. And it's okay. It doesn't mean that you as a parent are necessarily failing. As long as we come in as the coach. But I like to think of it as the more that we're coaching and teaching them the skills, we're making like small investments. So that then over time, the idea being we can step away gradually, and they get to just solve the conflict on their own. Really help them take a step back and say, okay, well, what do I need, right? What am I really trying to say? Sometimes they really want our attention. And they're fighting for it with their sibling, right? Or sometimes they're feeling left out and they really want to play, but they don't know how to initiate that. And it looks like toy grabbing, right? So really helping them identify, what is the feeling, what is the need driving the behavior, right? And then normalizing that and being like, all right, let's see if we kind of take a step back. How can we communicate this with each other in a healthy, respectful way? And then sometimes the other kid needs some help listening and respecting the boundary, right? But
the back and forth.
Yes. But they need us to step in and do some of that work with them in the early years. But with consistency, with that repetition, they'll get it slowly but surely. But it takes a lot of patience, a lot of consistency.
Often it's not really the toy that's creating the problem.
Speak on it.
It's really not.
No, it's not.
We need to figure out what it is. What are they really trying to tell us in that moment? What are they struggling with, and how can we help them to move forward?
And that's why, too, when we remove the toy, we're really not doing much.
Solving the problem.
Yes, it's a Band-Aid, right? And we put so much responsibility on ourselves. I've got to figure this out, right? I've got to make this stop right now. This is not okay, right? Conflict is not okay. And so if we can adjust our mindset and think about, it's okay, right? It's okay. Conflict is okay. This is good, actually. This is a teaching moment. If I can see it as that, and then help them with those words, it can be a powerful moment. And I know sharing is a hot topic.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my goodness, right? And I actually don't believe in forced sharing. I believe in that taking turns. Like sharing kind of gives the flavor of, I got to stop playing with this because somebody else wants it. Oh, share that toy.
And generally, they're not done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. But I'm still playing.
Yes. What do you mean I need to share?
Yeah.
Right. This doesn't feel good to me. I'm not done. Right. And I think too, where that comes from, at least I'll speak for myself and you let me know if this resonates, is like there's so much pressure, or we feel the internal pressure as parents to feel like our kid is the nice kid and they're the giving. Can you relate to that? Like,
absolutely.
That
You're on a play date.
Yes.
And your 2-year-old doesn't want to share in that moment. And as a parent, you want them to share, but developmentally, I sit back and I know this is totally appropriate. She just got that and she's not ready to share it yet.
That's us with our cell phone. You know what I mean? That's us with our tablet, and somebody else is like, share that. What do you mean, share? Give me that. Right? And it's like, how would we feel? I believe in turn taking, and the idea being, take as long as you need and let your friend know when you're done. And oftentimes what looks like a toy battle, what looks like somebody wanting the toy, is really just the other child wanting to play.
And so if it's just that child trying to initiate into the play, how can we as parents help them to find the words or even to find the actions that are appropriate to engage in that play?
And I would just say keep it simple. If your hunch is that the other child just wants to play with the other one, say, hey, I get this sense you want to play with so-and-so. Is that true? You can just say, will you play with me? And whether or not the child wants to play is up to them. No pressure, right? Hey, great job telling your friend that you're not ready yet. No pressure, right? I'm not here to control things. I don't have an agenda. I'm just like that mediator in between you guys, helping you guys communicate.
We can find something else to do if we need to. But yes.
And here in that instance, you have taught that child how to initiate a play situation, right? You've taught them a social skill that then they can use in another environment.
Absolutely.
And it's beautiful.
When you're not in their presence, when they go into the preschool classroom and they don't have you to help them through those moments.
And then that other child, if they're not ready to play, well, hey, they've learned, hey, it's okay to have a boundary. It's okay. I don't have to accept every play invitation. I don't have to feel pressured to say